In this tutorial, we will show you how to create a Facebook clone app using py4web. We log in into py4web, we create the app, we choose a name for it. At this point, the page is empty. We can use the web UI to edit our files. And edit the database. We're going to create a controller that has an index page. We also import makeup data, which is a tool we created to generate random data in the database. Items are a list of feed items, a table to be created, ordered in reverse chronological order. In models, we define our tables. We import our validators. We need one table called feed item, which stores the body of the items we want to post, and there's a signature, which remembers who created the item. A table item like that links item ID to the user who liked it, and a table friend request that links two users, the one who made the request to which user and the status of that request, which can be accepted, rejected, or pending. We created a view for this action index using HTML, and in this HTML we embed a list of posts returned by the controller. We try to load the page, we are redirected to login, we need to register, we register. This is all out of the box in py4web. We finally are logged in and we get to the page and we see the automatically generated items. We now edit the index.html to display more information, in particular the first name and last name of the author of each item. We now want to filter only items created by the logged in user. So me is the auth user ID, and we filter. And there are no items yet. We modify the controller again to insert a form to post items. So in the form for the table feed item, we return the form along with the items. We inject the form in the HTML. We reload the page, we have the form is functional, and we can submit new items and post items on our feed. We modify the controller again, and we create a new function that is going to be useful to get all requests, all friend requests from one user to another user. We can particularly filter those that we have received or those that we have made, and we can also filter them by status. So we build a query by getting the friend requests to user us or from user us, and we filter the status. And we make the query and we return the result of the select. So we now call this helper function to get the IDs of all the users who have given a friendship request, which we have accepted, plus ourselves, and we filter all the feed items of those people. Now we see all the posts from our friends, plus our own posts, and we can add. We modify the controller again, and we create a new page called home, which allows us to specify a user ID, and we can see all the posts from that user. So we filter the feed items created by that user ID, we select them all in reverse chronological order, we get the first 100 and we return them. We generate an HTML page, which is the view for this action, and this is pretty much the same as the index one. So we loop over the items, and we write the first name of the created by, the last name, when it was created, and the body. So if we now click on name, we get redirected to the home page for that particular user, and we can see all the posts of that user. That user must be a friend of ours. Now let's add some buttons. So we define callbacks, authenticated callbacks. We need a like callback, which insert a item like, and we return this callback from the actions, and in the views we inject buttons that make the callback to the server. This is done through Ajax. Now we see the buttons. When it calls, makes an Ajax request to the server inserts the record in database. Unfortunately, it doesn't remember it at this point. That's the next thing we will do. We need a new page called Friends to manage our friends, to make send requests, accept, or reject them. So we make our page Friends. We get all received requests, all sent requests using the function getRequest, which we created before. We insert a form to search for friends, and if the form is submitted and accepted, we search all people in the system that have first name that matches our query, so we can eventually submit a friend request. We return all the requests we have received, all those we have sent, the form, and the list of users that match our search. We create a view for this, and we inject the form in the HTML, a table with all the users that match the form search. And another table that shows all the requests, friendship requests we have received, and their status eventually, not yet. And there we go. That's what it looks like. So we can search for people, submit. Now we need a few buttons here. So we create authenticated callbacks. One will be called when we make a friendship request, which will create a new record in the friend request table. And another callback, which will be triggered by a button that says accept friendship, that will change the status of that friend request. And another callback that allows to reject a friendship request. Notice when we accept requests, we automatically make the reversed one. If I accept your friendship, then you must accept my friendship. We return these callbacks. And in the HTML, we inject new buttons that trigger a call, an Ajax call to those callbacks. And for every request, we add the buttons accept or reject. Now we see the buttons, we can accept and reject them. We can search for people, and we can make new friend requests. We also want to remember which things we liked. So we create a new function that, given a set of items, feed items, is going to go through them and is going to touch whether we liked it or not. And we call this function every time we generate a list of items. And we add buttons. We modify the buttons like to display the corresponding status based on whether we like them or not. So the system is now functional, and we can like posts of our friends, and if we reload the page, it's going to remember that we liked them.